Yeah.
I'm on my
Turns
way
in.
down to the quay where the good ship now does lay. For to take a gang of navvies I was told to engage. But I thought I would fall in for a while before I went away. For to take a trip on an immigrant ship to the shores
Boy,
of Botany
she's not
Bay.
too low.
Farewell to
Even
your
loaded
bricks
like
and
that.
mortar. Farewell to
Yeah.
your dirty lime. Farewell to your gangway and gangplanks, and to hell with your overtime. For the good ship ragamuffin is lying at the quay. For to take old Pat with the shovel on his back to the shores of Botany Bay.
Canoe! Ah!
Well, the boss came up this morning and he said, well, Pat, hello. If you do not mix that mortar fast, be sure you'll have to go. Of course he did insult me, and I demanded all my pay. And I told him straight I was going to emigrate to the shores of Botany Bay. Farewell to your bricks and mortar, farewell to your dirty lime. Farewell to your gangway and gangplanks, and to hell with your overtime. The good ship ragamuffin is lying at the quay. For to take old Pat with a shovel on his back to the shores of Botany Bay.
I had the great fortune to spend 3 months carving a dugout canoe with Churchill Clark, the great-great-great-great-grandson of Captain William Clark of the Lewis and Clark expedition. We carved the canoe from a gigantic old Douglas fir tree, working with tools both old and modern. Churchill brought the skills and know-how, and I helped move some of the bulk material out of the way, and over the course of a few months we produced this beautiful canoe. So then it was time to throw it in the water and try it out. I call the canoe Belladonna Beaver, usually shortened to Bella. We paddled the Marias River in north-central Montana, starting below Tiber Dam and paddling 80 miles downstream to Loma, getting out before the Marias flows into the Missouri. We were joined by friends, both old and new, for this week-long adventure on the water. Despite recent heavy rains and regional flooding, water levels on the Marias were fairly low, since water flows are determined by releases from Tiber Dam, in this case running at 715 cubic feet per second for the entire week, which isn't a lot, but pretty good for this time of year and pretty decent for canoeing.
Scored there. I can do it, but I got a shell sit here. Oh! Oh! Did you get that?
Meriwether Lewis originally named this Maria's River after his cousin. However, the apostrophe was dropped over time, making it read as the Marias River. Now that's less historically accurate. However, I like the sound of the Marias River, which seems more wild and fitting of this landscape than Maria's River.
Hey, big bird. And a girl, Bella.
I mean, there's flow through here. You can see it.
Yeah, buddy. Oh well. Cheers.
The Marias River Badlands include a mix of both public and private land. And in Montana, it is perfectly legal to hike or camp on private land if it isn't posted, you're not camping within view of a house, and nobody asks you to leave. Nowhere on our journey did we see even one no trespassing sign, which was truly amazing and beautiful. This is Montana as it should be. This is the Montana that I grew up in, when people owned the right to freely roam across the open countryside, before the millionaires and billionaires started buying up the land and posting no trespassing signs to keep people out. Freedom to roam the open countryside is recognized as the everyman's right in Scandinavian countries and guaranteed by law throughout most of Europe. It's time we reclaim this basic right here in Montana and throughout the United States. Overall, this is a pretty cushy trip with tons of food and lots of creature comforts. However, I did gather some cottonwood roots along the riverbank and made a bow and drill set to start the fire.
I'll tell you about my night on shore if you will lend an ear. Well, I stepped into a cabaret just to get myself a beer. A pretty girl sat all alone and needed company. But when I got close, she arose, these words she said to me. Now she said, "Whoa, sailor, be careful what you say. In your eyes there's a gleam, and to me it seems you're just like all the rest. With a wolfish eye and a line that's sly when the sailor's at his best. Now look here, babe, you've got me wrong. I'm not that kind of guy. Well, I just got back from the 7 seas where there are no girls to ride. If you will sit with me a while, I'm sure you'll see my way." But when I got out, she turned about. This time she had to say, she said, "Whoa, sailor, I've heard that line before. You'll look into my eyes and tell me lies and tales of the 7 seas. But a sailor's full of that kind of both, so don't hand it to me. Now, pretty girl, you've let me down. You've broken my poor heart. And oh, how it hurt when you had to spurt that last sad remark." I said, "I think I'll have a beer," and I broke out 6 months' pay. With a wide open eye, she breathed a sigh. This time she had to say, she said, "Oh, sailor, I think you won my heart." Well, she was sweet and she sure was neat, but I knew she was that sort. But she's not all to blame, 'cause it's a sailor's aim to have a girl in every port.
Beautiful. Hello, Marias. Thank you for having us on here. Thank you, Bella. Beautiful day.
This journey was not only the maiden voyage for Bella, but literally the first time we put her on the water, and we launched her fully loaded. And Bella handled amazingly well in the water. To me, the difference between paddling a modern plastic canoe versus paddling a dugout like Bella could be described as the difference between driving a car versus driving a truck. The lighter plastic canoes are a little bit more zippy, more fuel efficient, while as the bigger dugouts have greater mass, more carrying capacity, and frankly are more stable on the water. This canoe trip has been a great test run for Bella and a big confidence builder for me as I make plans to paddle Bella the entire 2,400 mile length of the Missouri River next year.
Canoe, canoe! Oh!
Hi, buddy. Oh, yeah.
The Marias River Badlands feature subtle hues and varied textures, with hills of clay, cliffs of soft mudstone, pockets of sandstone, and even hoodoos where harder capstones protect softer underlying layers that erode around the base. We greatly enjoyed paddling through the ever-changing landscape and stopped frequently to hike and explore along the way.
Hi, buddy. Hey, you found a good camp?
At camp each night I like to run around and forage for wild edibles. I like to pick some wild salad greens, mostly goosefoot or lamb's quarters and auroch, also dandelions, wild mustard weeds, and prickly lettuce. To better enjoy the wild greens on your next canoe trip, be sure to read my book, Foraging the Mountain West. At one site I found a nice cattail patch and pulled up some cattail stalks for their starchy inner cores, and also collected some of the immature flower heads that we could cook up as cattail corn on the cob. Again, be sure to read my book, Foraging the Mountain West, for details on how to identify, harvest, and prepare wild edibles on your next adventure.
Oh, I'm glad I did that.
Oh, those are cattails?
Yeah.
He's a little bit.
You just eat the suckers.
These have a little pepper to them.
What did...
I enjoyed exploring the woodlands along the river looking for tracks and sign. And it's truly amazing, but even the lowly mussel shell somehow manages to walk and leave a trail that can be tracked to the source. Freshwater mussels such as these are becoming endangered due to agricultural runoff that increases the nutrient load in the streams, fueling algae blooms that degrade habitat for the mussels. Therefore, the mussels should not be eaten, but returned to the streams and protected. I've paddled other rivers with more wildlife than the Marias, yet the Marias was constantly full of surprises. For one thing, the geese preferred to get out of the water and run up into the hills when the canoes came by, instead of paddling downriver to try to escape us. At one point, this inadvertently led to the death of a young gosling when a golden eagle swooped down and picked it off the hill, only to drop it, dead, into the water. Our 6 days paddling the Marias River was a truly wonderful and memorable experience, and we were greatly blessed to be able to spend this quality time with good friends, great food, and an amazing new canoe named Bella.
I'm on my way down to the quay where the good ship now does lay, for to take a gang of navvies I was told to engage. But I thought I would fall in for a while before I went away, for to take a trip on an immigrant ship to the shores of Botany Bay. Farewell to your bricks and mortar, farewell to your dirty lime, farewell to your gangway and gangplanks, and to hell with your overtime. For the good ship Ragamuffin is lying at the quay, for to take old Pat with a shovel on his back to the shores of Botany Bay. Well, the boss came up this morning and he said, well, Pat, hello. If you do not mix that mortar fast, be sure you'll have to go. Of course he did insult me and I demanded all my pay, and I told him straight I was going to emigrate to the shores of Botany Bay. Farewell to your bricks and mortar, farewell to your dirty lime, farewell to your gangway and gangplanks, and to hell with your overtime. The good ship Ragamuffin is lying at the quay, for to take old Pat with a shovel on his back to the shores of Botany Bay.